Hello dear students, today we will discuss one of the most fundamental concept which comes under physics, that is motion in one dimension. Under this particular concept, we are dealing the topic called as mechanics. Mechanics, as I told, which is the old as well as most fundamental concept. Why? Because it is a topic where we are discussing the relation between the body which are at rest as well as the body which are in motion. In the sense which is broadly classified into two parts that is the one is dynamics and one more is statics. As you know, the dynamics which deals with what? The body which are in motion, correct? No? What do you mean by statics? The body which are at rest over here. Under dynamics, based on its motion, again it's classified into the two types, that is one is kinematics and one is kinetics. So as I told, the dynamics, that is the branch of mechanics which deals with what? The body which are in motion. Similarly, statics means it is a branch of physics of a mechanics which deals with what? Body which are at rest over here. Correct? And as I told, under dynamics, again classified into two types, which are those the kinematics and kinetics. What do you mean by kinetics over here or kinematics over here? Which is basically deals body if it is motion without any reference. Are you getting? So similarly, kinetics means the body which are in motion or what causes the body which is moving over there. Are you getting? So kinetics which deals with what? Basically without any reference which is moving, simply which is moving without any reference. But kinetics means which causes, for example, if I keep any object over here and if I give some certain force over here, don't you think it is moving, which has moved from one point to another point, which causes the force which applied over this body which causes the motion. So this basically is this is what? Kinetics. That is the second one. Okay. And the next one we have motion. Motion which basically deals with what? Let us take one example. Basic example what I have taken over here. I'll explain. Okay. That is you and your friends are sitting each other in a moving train. You are stationary with respect to your friend, and your friend which is stationary with respect to you, but you and your friend are moving with respect to the person who is observing outside the train. Are you getting? So basically the motion which basically relates what? The body which are at rest as well as the body which are in moving with respect to the third person who is observing in the railway station. That's all. So, now as I told, one point reference means frame of reference. Under your frame of reference, there are two types which comes. One is inertial frame of reference and one more is non-inertial frame of reference. What do you mean by inertial frame? If the body, if it is moving or rest with a constant velocity, then I can say, what I can say, it is the inertial frame of reference. What do you mean by non-inertial frame of reference? If any body which is moving some acceleration, then I can say it is non-inertial frame of reference. So these are the basic concepts we need to know about the more things in a further observation. And this is nothing but the three axes what I can find, that is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, and this is the point of origin I can expect in the particular graph which I shown over here. Okay, and this is a point O which is common for both x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. And if I move to the next one, when a particle moves in a space, its position at any instant of time can be described with the help of these three axes. Based on the help of these axes, we will get to know what is the position of the object, what is the position of the body with respect to the origin as well. Are you getting? So this is the use of this graph over here. And the body which are at, when I can say body which are at motion, body which are in rest, if any body changes its position with respect to the time, then I can say you are in motion. Correct? No? Similarly, when I can say you are in stationary, if your position is not at all changing with respect to a time, then I can say you are in stationary or rest over here. That's what I have explained in the particular slide over here. And whenever you are in motion, you are in motion, we can classify it into two type of motion. The one is the translatory motion and the one more is rotatory motion. These are the known words for you. Translatory in a sense, if the whole body is moving, the whole body which is moving from one place to another place with a constant velocity at a particular instant, then I can say it is translatory motion. What do you mean by rotatory motion? Rotatory motion, they have given one more example based on your translatory, like an arrow shot from above. Correct? No? A stone dropped from height. In the sense, you take one stone and drop somewhat like this. At the time of dropping a stone, do you think the stone will move upward or downward? Obviously, it moves downward. Correct? So, at the time of moving a stone from top surface to the bottom surface, at a particular instant of time, each body is having the same velocity. This is what exactly I can expect translatory motion. Okay, and train which is moving on its rail, it is also translatory motion. So different kind of example we can see in a day-to-day life as well. And if you deal in terms of your rotatory motion, what it says, if a particle which is moving with the fixed surrounding, in the sense what, you take an example of the wheel of the car over there. Don't you think wheel is, even though wheel is rotating, but it is fixed with respect to its center. When it makes a contact with respect to the road, then only you can expect your car can move. But actually what happens over there, just the wheel is rotating with respect to its center. Correct? No? Similarly, you can expect the fan over here. Fan is rotating with respect to its center, with respect to or with respect to its surrounding over there. This is what exactly I can expect rotatory motion. Okay. So this is, and if I move to the next slide, that is distance and displacement. Don't have any confusion. The distance and displacement. Distance, which is basically is the kind of the scalar quantity. Scalar means what? Scalar is a which is having only magnitude, and distance, which is nothing but the longest path which you have covered. I'll make it easy for understanding. You take one circle somewhat like this, and this is a circle, okay? And this is the origin point where you are supposed to start your journey. And if I cover a path somewhat in this direction, if you take a complete one circle, what is the length you have covered? That is a 360 degree or 2 pi, correct? That gives a length of a distance, which is nothing but the maximum length which you have covered. Now we will discuss about the displacement. You will get a clear picture about this. You have started the same journey from here to here, somewhat like this. What is the displacement you have covered now is 0. If initial and final point is same, if it is a displacement, then what is the displacement which you have covered? Which is nothing but 0. If I covered the same path, what is the distance which covers? Which is nothing but a full circle, which is nothing but what? 360 degree. So this is the best example I can give for you, to differentiate the distance as well as displacement. Okay? And we'll move to the next one. And one more point, whereas the distance is a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector quantity. Vector means what? Vector means what? Which is having both magnitude as well as direction. Okay? So this is what exactly I have explained so far. They have given point by point. Okay? Okay. As I told, when the body returns to its initial position, its displacement is 0. But distance cannot be 0. Correct? No? If I take one circle, same thing. Okay. We'll move to the next slide, that is the speed as well as velocity. Here also don't get confused, whereas speed is a scalar quantity and velocity is a vector quantity. So what do you mean by speed over here? Which is nothing but it's the ratio of distance divided by time. So whenever I say speed, your job is to take a distance by time. Whenever I say velocity, your job is to say displacement by time. So they have given speed which is equal to distance which covered with respect to time, and they have given SI unit as meter per second. Why it is meter per second? Because the distance, what is I said? What is the distance? For example, you have covered from one point to another point. How do you say that? You can say I have covered 1 meter, I have covered 2 meter. Can you say I have covered 1 kg? It cannot be. So similarly, distance what it said it can be meter. Similarly, normally we are taking time in terms of seconds. So that's why meter per second as a unit of what? Speed over here. So that's why. And we'll move to the next one, that is average speed. How to take average speed? The general formula we have, that is total distance traveled divided by the total time taken. Correct? No? These are the general things we know. And velocity as well. Velocity which is equal to displacement by time. Why? Because displacement is a vector quantity. That's why velocity which is equal to displacement divided by time. And what about your speed over here? Speed which, whenever I say speed, distance by time. Whenever I say velocity, it should be what? Displacement by time over here. Okay? And it's like this, it's S unit also meter per second. And similarly, what is the average velocity I can expect here? Average velocity which is nothing but the total displacement divided by time. What about average speed over there? That is total distance divided by time over here. Okay? So if I see the sum of the features which is important to learn about the speed as well as vector, that is speed is a vector quantity, velocity is speed is a scalar quantity, vector is velocity is a vector quantity. So velocity can be negative, 0 or positive, but speed is negative. But speed cannot be negative, okay? You have to mention that. If a particle moves a distance at a speed v1 and comes back to the speed of v2, then it can be taken as what? General formula. It's a simplified formula. We can expect that is a 2v1 divided by v1 plus v2. So if a particle moves to equal interval, means if it covers with the same time at a different speed, I can use what? v1 plus v2 divided by 2. Okay? So these are the formula you can use for competitive exam as well, for minimizing our time over there. And the next concept which comes under acceleration. What do you mean by acceleration? Acceleration means what? It is the ratio of velocity divided by time. Okay? So I'll give a brief idea about displacement, velocity and acceleration. Displacement which deals with what? Which is the ratio of what? Velocity which is equal to displacement by time. Acceleration which is equal to what? Velocity divided by time. So these are the interrelation I can expect based on velocity as well as acceleration over here. And thinking about its extent over here. As you know, velocity which is equal to meter per second. So velocity by time can be taken as what? Meter per second divided by second. So it becomes what? Meter per second square as the unit of what? Acceleration. That's right. And if I move to the next slide, that is the same thing they have given, what I explained so far. And these are the key points or following symbols which denotes somewhat like this, which I am going to explain the continuation of this. Wherever I say u, which is nothing but the initial velocity, a which deals with the uniform acceleration, v which deals with the final velocity, and s which deals with the displacement, and t which deals with the time taken to cover a distance from one point to another point. What do you mean by initial velocity? the velocity which have started a journey from one point to another point. What is the final velocity? In which velocity have ended your journey. So that's why final velocity which deals with the small letter v and initial velocity which deals with a small letter u over here. Okay. So the next one, we have one relation, that is acceleration as I told, which is nothing but velocity divided by time. So can I say change in velocity which is nothing but the final velocity minus initial velocity and divided by with respect to time. So if I rewrite this equation, you bring this t over here, so it becomes with respect to v u plus at. This is the basic formula. We can derive the further derivation somewhat like this. Then average velocity, we have what? Displacement divided by time. Let us take displacement as s divided by t. Next, as the acceleration is uniform, can I take average velocity which is equal to u plus v, which is nothing but average velocity with respect to time. So now, these are the equation I can expect over here. So, v can be replaced by what over here? That is a u plus a t which we have got in the previous slide over here. Correct? No? So, these are the equation. By having this relation, can I get this? Hence, s which is equal to ut plus half at square. Next one, similarly average velocity. By having this relation, we can expect velocity acquired in traveling distances can be taken as the one more relation I can expect. It is a v square which is equal to u square plus 2as. So, how many relations we have got so far? The first one is v which is equal to u plus at, and the next one is s which is equal to ut plus half at square, and the third one is this one, v square which is equal to u square plus 2as. What do you mean by v? V which is equal to the final velocity, and u which deals with the initial velocity, and s which deals with what? It is the distance which has covered from one point to another point. What do you mean by a over here? That is the acceleration. We'll move to the next one to get some features about uniform motion. Uniform motion is a straight line motion with the constant velocity. Correct? No? In a uniform motion, the displacement and distance are equal. Are you getting? Yes. So, next one, if I say this is the one more formula we can expect, that is distance travelled during nth second, which is equal to the difference between the distance travelled in n second and n minus 1 second. For example, if there is a question like in 17th minute, what is the distance which you have covered from initial point to final point? If it is so, replace n as 17th minute and you will get the answer over here. And you will get the displacement as well. Okay, these are the concepts we can expect. So by having just a mathematical relation, we will get to know the final result somewhat. Sn which is equal to what? That is this, which I can expect. This is the formula I can expect at the end product over here. Okay, and we will move to your way under a gravity or motion under gravity from the height. So this is a concept where we need to concentrate more. Why? Because so any object which has dropped, which moves where, as I told before, you take one stone and if I leave my hand somewhat like this, do you think the stone which I drop moves upward or downward? Obviously it moves where? Downward. Why it is so? The question comes, why it is so? Because basically whenever an object drops somewhat like this, acceleration due to gravity, which is always related towards the center of Earth. Whatever may be the object, whenever you drop from a certain height, since acceleration due to gravity towards where? Its center of gravity. Where is the center of Earth? Always directed downwards with respect to you. Correct? No? So that's why. And this acceleration due to gravity, which represent the small letter g over here. And There are some equations we need to concentrate. These are the equations we have got so far. There is a v is equal to u plus. Why it is gt? Why can't be at over here? So this equation can be used when you drop any object from certain height, and if it moves downward, your a should be replaced by plus g. Are you getting? So wherever a is there, replaced by plus g. So similarly, in the previous relation we got, it is s which is equal to ut plus half at square. Now a can be replaced by what over here? That is plus g. So similarly g over here. Now you might have thinking that if I throw any object somewhat like this, don't you think your object is moving upward direction? Then what I is supposed to use the sign convention over here, whether a plus or minus. In the previous relation we had, when you drop object, a can be replaced by what? Plus g, and when you throw any object upward direction, your a can be replaced by what? That is nothing but minus g. So wherever you drop object, replace a as plus. So whenever you throw any object, replace a by what? That is minus. So wherever a is there, replaced by minus g, minus c, minus c. This is how exactly your sign convention works under the concept of motion in a one dimension. This is what exactly we can expect in this particular concept. Thank you very much.